Human evolution is the lengthy process of change by which people originated from ape-like ancestors. Scientific evidence shows that the physical and behavioral traits by all people originated from ape-like ancestors and evolved over a period of time approximately 6 million years. Now, we're going to point out the key concepts of human evolution, specifically the biological aspects. One of the earliest defining human traits, bipedalism, the ability to walk on two legs, evolved over 4 million years ago. Other important human characteristics, such as a large and complex brain, the ability to make and use tools, and the capacity for language, developed more recently. Many advanced traits, including complex symbolic expression, art, and elaborate cultural diversity, emerged mainly during the past 100 years.
Science believes that humans came from a specific origin. Humans were compared to chimpanzees. Science suggests that we evolved from the species. The evolutionary path began 7 million years ago, when the ancestor common to both sapiens and chimpanzees lived in Africa. Its evolutionary lineage up to the modern day human is represented here by the most well-known species that followed this path, such as Lucy, the most complete specimen of Australopithecus afarensis. The discovery of the skeleton in 1974 improved our knowledge and definition of the Australopithecine genus. The study of its lower extremities, hip and spine served to recognize the oldest evidence of human bipedalism, which, as we now know, dates back about 6 million years.
We will now talk about Australopithecus africanus. This is the species. The skulls of Mrs. Place and the Taung Child. The skull of the Taung Child was discovered in 1924 in a South African quarry. It belongs to a child individual dated estimated to be 2.5 million years old. Its importance lies in that it retains part of endocranium, and because of the publication of the fossil by Raymond Dart, can be considered the birth of human paleontology, since it was recognized as the ancestor of the modern day humans.
We also have Paranthropus bucei. The discovery of the skull, colloquially known as Nutcracker Man, by the Leakeys in 1959 was revolutionary, showing that human origins dated back beyond what was though until then, and that human evolution was centered in Africa and not in Asia. It also was defined recognition of the investigations of Leakey's family in Olbia, Georgia, now considered the cradle of humanity.
We also have Homo habilis, the manufacture of the first tools in history of mankind that traditionally been attributed to this species. Therefore, it is considered the first representative of our own genus, the Homo genus.
Next is Homo georgicus. Human remains of Homo georgicus located in south of the Caucasus in the Manisi site in Georgia are the oldest human remains known outside Africa so far. They have been dated to 1.8 million years.
Next is Homo ergaster. It is considered the first anatomically modern Homo, with a mean cranial capacity of 1,000 cm and a similar height to ours. One of the most emblematic remains associated with this species is known as the Turkana boy. It belongs to an almost complete skeleton of an individual aged 10 to 12 years. It is associated to a more evolved technological mode 2 or echelon, which is characterized by bifacial carving and symmetry. They use fire, although it is though that they failed to have total control over it.
Homo antecessors. When the first human remains of this species were discovered at the Gran Dolina site, Antequerca, Burgos, Spain, in 1994. They were the oldest in the European continent. Their discovery meant delaying the first people of Europe by almost 500,000 years. Also, Homo antecessors meant discovering a hitherto unknown human species.
Now, we have Homo heidelbergensis. Skull 5, colloquially known as Miguelon, is the most complete human skull in the whole fossil record. It was found at the site of Cima de los Huesos in Atapuerca, Burgos, Spain, along with nearly 7,000 other human remains of the Homo heidelbergensis. We can obtain a lot of information about those considered the ancestors of Neanderthals and about how they lived, thanks to the largest accumulation of fossil remains in the world today. The oldest known DNA was obtained from human fossils from the Cima de los Huesos.
Next, we have Homo rhodesiensis. The first fossils found in the African site of Broken Hill in Zambia are called Homo rhodesiensis. And for many authors, they resemble European Homo heidelbergensis, while this led here to Neanderthals. Homo rhodesiensis is considered the direct ancestor of modern humans in Africa, the Homo sapiens.
Finally, we have the Homo neanderthalensis. Homo neanderthalensis is a species that coexisted with ours and was one of the last to become extinct. The growing knowledge of this species through genome sequencing has changed the view of prehistoric humans to the point that nowadays a possible mixture of hydrocystation with Homo sapiens is contemplated.
Since we are done on the biological evolution of humans, and now let's proceed to the cultural evolution of humans. So, cultural evolution of humans is the development of learned behavior as it passed from one generation to the next. Cultural evolution is the process by which we are able to shape and adapt to our environment. It is a much more rapid process than biological evolution. It is transmitted as learned information from generation to generation. It required an intelligent brain and communication, preferably speech. All members of Homo genus manufactures tools. It is probably that the Homo species were not the first hominids to use tools. Australopithecines almost certainly used similar tools to modernized chimpanzees. The onset of tools manufacturing was important for several reasons. It allowed the species to control their environment in a way they had never been able to control it before. The use of weapons for hunting allowed them to be the predator instead of the prey, or survival advantage.
Use of fire. This was first controlled by Homo erectus. The evidence for its use by the species. Some form of held ring of stones around charcoal. Charcoal sites and charred bones found with fossil remains.
Manufacture and use of clothing. Fashion has been said to be as crucial to the emergence of the modern human as music and dance, art and humor and language, because there has been no prehistoric scraps of clothing lying around.
Communication and language. Facial expressions, body language, and gestures were the early forms of communication. These were accompanied by primitive noises such as grunts and screeches.
Food gathering. Homo erectus lived in groups, gathering and hunting food, and sharing it in a home base. The women collected roots, fruits, and vegetables, while the men went hunting for meat. This allowed them to exploit many different types of food.
Next is the socio-political evolution.
Political evolution is thus a dimension of a larger process of biological evolution. The emergence of political systems which has long predates the evolution of humankind constitute a set of adaptive strategies with significant evolutionary consequences. Political development and the political evolution may go hand in hand, but this is not always the case. A particular polity may develop or decay independently of a larger process of political evolution.
So those are the things about human evolution, the cultural, the biological, and the socio-political evolution. That's it. I'm out.